Hey, welcome back. This is the Northside Open Invitational, as I like to call it, but more on that in a minute. Here's some of the prizes, and here's Lance giving a brief.
And then we'll head over towards McLeod Hill and run down through John's trails into Gene's Odyssey, and that's where we'll start to see some of the really more hardcore stuff. So
Now I like to say no soy because it's like no soy boys, because that appeals to me. Though we do tolerate Andy, who is a vegan or vegetarian or some sort of leaf eater. Anyway, the fact is this is an intermediate ride, and you need to come with the right equipment, and Luke's got the right equipment in terms of a strong right leg. And you need a strong right leg if you don't put gas in your bike and you're adamant that there is gas in your bike, and so you want to just keep kicking it. Alright, let's get this ride underway. This is the morning session of the, I don't know what we're going to call it, the Northside ride, Northside something. I'll leave that to Lance. He'll have to tell me ultimately what the final namesake is of this ride. It is our third annual, and this is probably the biggest audience that we've had come out. Almost 30 bikes this time, and I think that is about the limits of what we can sustain for this kind of ride. But like I said, this is the morning session, so this 11 minute and 33 second or somewhere thereabouts when I'm done editing is just the morning, and I'll get the afternoon clip immediately following this. I just need a little more time, Luke. Don't put so much pressure on me. I'm trying to get it done. Hey, there's Colin. Colin injured his hand a little bit, but it's healed pretty quick, and you know what? He didn't complain about it, or his suspension. Leastways, not that I heard. This is a new little section coming up here to the right that Lance opened up, I want to say last year, and that's kind of the way it's going now. There's the main trail, and little sections getting opened up as we go.
Just flick it up now.
Yep. If you want to keep the group moving, we'll break them and take them down the road into vodka.
At this point, we're about 20 minutes into the ride, if that, and this is where the discussion about whether it's an open invitational is an appropriate use of language or not.
We can take them out here. The road's right there.
Yeah, I'm just going to take them with the bike track. So that's easy right there.
That's easier.
This is or that is?
This is.
And this is where I get Andy's pronouns all messed up. This and that, hard to say. What I really meant to say, this is easier, and so this is the way we should go. And so the discussion about open invitational needs a few qualifiers. This is an intermediate ride, and you really need to have the appropriate equipment. And a DR650, I think you could fire it through most of this, but it would be a struggle fest. And so we extract the DR, get him back onto hard surface, and he's going to meet us later on for lunch. And now I got to deal with the two six-pack brothers in front of me. I don't know if John's pushing Andy's buttons or Andy's just predisposed to be angry at John. It's hard to say. Needless to say, though, if John wants by and I want by, we're going to get by, Andy. Not a damn thing you can do about it. Now, legitimately, Andy is faster than me. I don't know if he's faster than John. Well, I should add a qualifier. Andy is faster than me in most places except for in Gene's Odyssey. Right here, we're in Vodka Soda. We're about 3/4 of the way through at this point, I think. There is some small elevation changes as we go up and down from the stream bed, but it is always quite slippery in here just because of the roots in the mud, and so this is like the first real introduction of some intermediate kind of terrain. Making sure that Leah still has some truck keys here. You don't want to lose stuff out here with all the leaves down. It'd be hard to find them. Although, on this very trail, I did find a phone that belonged to Corey, surprisingly. I almost ran it over, actually. And you can see Struggle Bunny is strapped onto the front of the bike. Unfortunately, I didn't bring a strap, so I can't unstrap and then strap on Struggle Bunny. Although Struggle Bunny was never intended to be a strap-on. It's an emotional support animal, really just for cuddles and nothing more, so we'll just leave it at that. However, Struggle Bunny does get awarded to Paul at the end of the day.
Feel like we're
There there we go. We got some class action trailside repair work right there.
Well, right here, Struggle Bunny probably could have been awarded, at least temporarily, because this is the first break of the ride where we snapped the tip off, just the tip, just for a bit to see how it felt, and it didn't feel good, so we put a rock on and zip tied it in place and a little bit of tape to make sure it stayed, and it did stay for the rest of the ride. So that rocky path we just came down, that's Gene's Odyssey, and now we're headed in towards the waterfall, and it gets a little tougher in here, where it ramps up a little bit more with some loose soil and roots. Of course, lots of roots. But for this EN91 with a really soft, worn out moose, roots don't matter. You can make your own line and still get traction. I should have learned from years past not to ride at the back of the pack, but for some reason I kind of gravitate towards it. It might be because I'm not fast enough to keep up with the fast guys up front, but if you're in the back and you can clear the hurdles of the terrain, you're going to end up pulling bikes as well. But not Corey's bike, because Corey can get up this stuff without too much problem. He knows it well, and he kicks a little dirt in my face and passes me. Kind of reminiscent of Prospectors when he paid money to Christine to kind of hold me up for a little while, feigning that she didn't have a kickstart on her bike.
We've been fighting our way up in here.
I haven't seen this part of the trail yet. This is the lower waterfall, and there's an upper one, but the lower one, once we get up over the scrabble of rocks, is, I think it's undefeated. And I know saying undefeated about the waterfall is going to stir up some kind of emotion for Kurt. He had dreamt about coming here and dominating that waterfall. And when we got up to it, he hemmed and hawed, he looked at it and did a couple runs at it, but making a better decision because it was all a risk and not much reward. Well, lots of reward, but it was certainly a risky maneuver, and you had a pretty good chance of falling for about 10 feet. So he opted for a different line, and I think most people did. The Welsford boys, well, they made their own line, and it's hard to say whether it was easier than the waterfall or not.
Whoa! Save of the day so far. Where are you going? Can you get by that? Load her up. Oh, nice.
If you weren't going up the waterfall and you weren't going to try the Three Hills Welsford boys arguably harder line, then your exit out was up that line right there. Now this line here, as I understood it from what others said to me, was a really good line and very rideable. And others told me that was until Andy rode it. Turns out the pink bastard chewed it all up and wrecked it for everybody. Thanks, Andy. Alright, I'm just joking, of course. So if you could stick to the right hand side as that other bike just did, you could probably ride up through this. However, as more bikes went through, the topsoil was getting pulled off and exposing the roots and making it a bit looser, and that pulled you to the downhill side. And that's where we find Andy.
You got her? Maybe.
There we go.
Yeah, no, it's good because we'll just pick the back end up. So.
That's alright, we're over that fucking hump. No, pick your handlebars up and I'll set you up here.
That's pretty much the same process for me to get up and over that route. This is coming into the second waterfall. Unfortunately, I didn't get a whole lot of video of the first waterfall. There was a beer cooler somewhere up at the top of the hill there that we all found, and it was full of beer. Imagine that. that was Nick from the Three Hills Clan, and none of the training here really challenged any of the fellas from down at Three Hills, so Lance is going to have to dig out all the stops for next year.
Uh-oh! Nice! Save of the day 2. Oh, Jeremiah.
I take that back. That was Jeremiah, also of the Three Hills Clan. Jeremiah is known for sending it. Oh, and there's the pink bastard. I think it was last year or somewhere around there that we were riding up here through Gene's Odyssey, pink bastard again, and I managed to get a pass in on Andy, and he's been pretty sore about it ever since. Unfortunately, he's going to have to get the butthurt and buttercream because he's going to be butthurt for the rest of this day as well. Maybe next year, Andy. Well, that pretty much wraps up the morning session. There is, of course, an afternoon session, and I'll get that video done and up as soon as I can. But for right now, it's off to Corey and Sharon's place for an awesome barbecue.